Right in the heart of New York City, there's this super fancy skyscraper that looks like something out of a dream. But honestly, it's almost empty. They spent hundreds of millions on it, yet no one wants to live there. The building's called Steinway Tower, or 111 West 57th Street. It's the skinniest skyscraper in the world, 1,428 feet tall, but as narrow as a tennis court. Engineers had to push the limits of concrete, steel, and physics to build it. Still, despite all the high-tech stuff and luxury, people just aren't interested in living there.
Don't you want to live here? Why do many people call this tower Ghost Tower? There are many reasons behind it. So in today's video, we will know the inner reality of this strange building, all the hidden problems, and the story that is one of the most unusual stories in construction history and is still terrifying people today. When many people first see this building, they think that it may one day lean on its side. But that is not the real problem. The problem is quite the opposite. This building seems to rise up from the ground by itself. Wants to come. This is because when it is so tall and narrow, when wind blows on a structure, it not only creates pressure from the sides, but also creates a kind of pull called uplift that can lift the entire building off the ground. Normally, a wide skyscraper would rely on its own weight to hold it in place, but the Steinway Tower was so narrow that that weight at its base wasn't enough. So engineers drove 200 steel anchors about 100 feet deep into the solid rock of Manhattan, anchoring the entire structure to the ground like tree roots. Of this building, building the walls was also a huge challenge. Building thick walls in such a narrow building would have reduced usable space. But in this area, land costs thousands of dollars per inch. So the engineers used strong concrete that can withstand about 14,000 psi of pressure. That's about 3 times stronger than regular concrete. As a result, it is possible to carry the weight of the entire structure while keeping the walls thin. However, despite all the planning by the engineers, one big problem remains, and that is wind.
Vortex shedding. What if it wasn't? Maybe this building would have just been an ordinary one. But when the wind blows around such a tall and narrow building, it doesn't just flow straight past. Instead, it swirls around both sides, creating little vortices, first on the left, then on the right. These swirling winds keep pushing the building back and forth, causing it to sway regularly. The sway is strong enough that even people inside can feel it. And if the sway matches the building's natural vibration frequency, the shaking can get worse and potentially damage the structure. For example, when a group of soldiers, when people walk over a shaky bridge, they don't step together in sync. That's because if they do, the vibrations can increase and the bridge might collapse. To tackle this problem, engineers came up with 3 major solutions. First, buildings are designed in a way that prevents wind from creating regular, strong vortices. Second, rough terracotta tiles are installed on the outside to disrupt the airflow. Third, open blow-through floors are placed on the 51st, 71st, and 86th levels, allowing wind to pass straight through the building. Along with this, exactly on top, there's a tuned mass damper weighing almost 800 tons. When the building sways, it moves in the opposite direction to reduce the sway. But even with such advanced technology, keeping this building stable wasn't easy. And that's when some really strange problems started. In October 2020, while Steinway Tower was still under construction, a hurricane hit New York. During the storm, the crane at the top of the tower ended up in a dangerous position. Along with it was a huge steel ball used for balance. Suddenly, it came loose. It started swinging. That heavy metal ball, as big as a car, slowly swung in a huge circle hundreds of feet above. Then it came crashing straight into the building's side. This damaged the facade. Work stopped and costs went up even more. The project was already under financial pressure. 2 years later, in 2022, after the building opened, it made headlines again, but for a different reason. Due to the building's vibrations, a big chunk of ice fell from the top onto a driver on the street below. Luckily, he survived. But the incident
It's gradually becoming popular now. What used to be called the world's thinnest sky-high building and a kind of engineering magic is now seen by many as a safety risk. For those who were already skeptical, it's become a major headache. Since then, the whole story of the building hasn't just gotten complicated, it's turned pretty painful too. At first, this project was sold like a dream, a luxury apartment in one of New York's priciest neighborhoods, with views no other building could offer, the perfect spot for the super rich. The developers bought the land.
They started raising funds and secured the money, so the project got underway. But expenses slowly kept piling up. The specially made ultra-strong concrete cladding and the huge tuned mass dampers were all super expensive. Every time they solved one problem, the costs went up. In the end, the whole project cost hit $2 billion. Then they took a big hit, a $66 million foreclosure that wiped out the original investors. This foreclosure was a legal process where the bank or lender took back the original investors.
They started raising funds and secured the money, so the project got underway. But expenses slowly kept piling up. The specially made ultra-strong concrete cladding and the huge tuned mass dampers were all super expensive. Every time they solved one problem, the costs went up. In the end, the whole project cost hit $2 billion. Then they took a big hit, a $66 million foreclosure that wiped out the original investors. This foreclosure was a legal process where the bank or lender took back the mortgaged property.
It's abandoned now. Nowadays, a lot of people call this building the Ghost Tower. That's because if you look at it at night, most of the floors are dark and empty. It's a $2 billion building, but a big part of it is still unoccupied. Let's say you ignore all that, and you've got the money. You really like the idea of this building, and you decide to buy it. So what exactly do you get? First off, the view is absolutely incredible. On a clear day, you can see all of Central Park from the top. On one side, there's the Hudson River, on the other, the East River, and all around, the city spreads out like one huge circuit board. The interior design, materials, and ceiling are all top-notch. The price totally makes sense. But one thing no one talks about is the wind. When the wind picks up, the building starts to sway, slowly, like a big swing. It feels like you're sitting on a huge ship in the middle of the ocean. It's not scary because the engineering is solid, but the feeling is very real. Some people find it exciting, while others feel uncomfortable. It just takes time to get used to. And along with that, there's the noise. When the wind pressure changes, the building creaks and groans like metal. There's a noise. It's because of the friction between steel and concrete. But hearing your own house make that kind of noise while lying in bed at 2 a.m., very few people would want to spend crores to buy that. Plus, living 1,000 feet up comes with some real problems. You need to use powerful pumps to draw water, and those make a lot of noise. The elevator moves so fast and over such a distance that you can actually feel the pressure in your body. So basically, living here isn't just about being in a luxury flat, it's like being inside an engineering experiment. But there's one thing about this tower.
Absolutely right. This is one of the coolest buildings ever made by humans. The Steno Tower stands as a huge success because its engineers solved problems no one had tackled before. But here's the thing, almost nobody actually wants to live here. The investors who got in early lost everything because the property was seized, and the people who moved in heard rumors like snow falling inside. The floors that were supposed to be packed with the richest people in the world, most of them are now abandoned and dark. Even the residents who do live here feel the cold in their homes at night. You can actually feel the movement and sounds. Any new person moving in here would get a creepy vibe. Anyway, this is the scary truth about the building. That's what makes 111 West 57th Street different from any other building. Now, imagine if you had that much money. Would you want to live in the world's narrowest skyscraper?
Would you focus just on luxury, or would you think about practicality and comfort? Share your thoughts with us in the comments. If you liked today's video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.